Okay, so for the check your understanding, the first step you need to do is we need to distribute the 6, so we get 6x minus 30 is greater than or equal to 30. I solve it like a normal equation where I add 30 to both sides. I get 6x is greater than or equal to 60. And I divide by a positive number, which means I'm not flipping any inequalities. I'm just writing x is greater than or equal to 10. Now I'm going to make it simple when you go to graph it. I'm going to put a 0, and I'm just going to put a 10 here and a negative 10 here. Okay? Because we have this inequality, what kind of circle are you going to draw? You're going to put a closed circle on 10, and you look that it's the numbers that are greater than, so I want to draw my arrow that way. Okay? The next one, we solve it like an inequality, like an equal sign, so I like to do the same things we do for an equal sign. I'm going to start by subtracting 4 on both sides. There's different ways you can do this, but I'm going to get 8x is less than 7x. Be careful, negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Then I want to move the x to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 7x to both sides. Okay, 8x minus 7x is just 1x, or x, is less than negative 6. I go over here, I make my little number line. I'm just going to put 0, positive 6, and negative 6. What kind of circle are you going to put above the negative 6? You're going to put an open circle. And which direction are you going to draw your arrow? Your arrow points to the same direction your inequality goes to. So I'm going to point it to less than. Okay. Over here we have to do the distributive property twice. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. Is greater than, and we're going to distribute here, 3x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Okay, and there's many ways you could go from here. I am going to start by subtracting 2x on both sides because I want to show you something. I get 8 is greater than 3x minus 2x is just x minus 6. But now I'm going to bring the number over to the other side by doing the opposite. And I get 14 is greater than x. But we talked about when we want the variable to be on the left side. So what do we do? What do we have to do when we move the variable to the left side? What do I have to do with the inequality? So if I flip the order, I also have to flip the inequality. So it becomes x is less than 14. So when you go to draw your number line, you have 0, you have positive 14, and negative 14. Less than symbol means it's an open circle at 14. The inequality points to the direction, less than, it points to the left. So we're going to draw to the left. Okay. Up here we have to do the distributive property. We get 15x plus 10 is less than or equal to, okay, 25x minus, be careful, it's a negative times a positive, 100. Okay. In this case, I'm going to start by subtracting 25x on both sides. So 15 subtract 25 gives me negative 10x plus 10 is less than or equal to negative 100. I would strongly encourage you to use Desmos because I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. So I get negative 10x is less than or equal to. Really, you get negative 110. I divide both sides by negative 10. If I'm dividing by a negative, what does that tell me I need to do? When I multiply or divide by a negative number, I need to flip the inequality. So x, this is going to flip to greater than or equal to. And negative 110 divided by 10 just gives you 11. Go to graph it. I have 0, I have positive 11, I have negative 11. because it's greater than or equal to, I'm going to put a closed circle on 11, and the inequality points to positive infinity. Okay. Number 2, state the smallest, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. State the smallest integer, this is important, that is a solution to the inequality below. Remember, integers are all your positive and negative numbers, okay? I don't like this fraction. I see dividing by 3, okay? So what am I going to do to undo dividing by 3? I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So I'm going to take the 7 and multiply it by 3. This is going to get multiplied by 3, the x, and also the 8. 3 times 7 is 21, minus 3 divided by 3 is 1, so you're left with negative 2x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 8 is 24. Draw my line like that's an equal sign, okay? I want to bring my x to the left side so that it's there and I don't have to worry about that later. So 21 minus 5x is less than negative 24. I'm going to bring the 21 over to the other side by subtracting it. So I get negative 5x is less than negative 45. And again, I'm dividing by a negative. So when I divide by a negative, I have to flip the inequality. So I wind up getting x is greater than 9. Now, the question asks for the smallest integer. So I like to do a little number line. You could also check it on Desmos, okay? I have a positive 9 and a negative 9. And I know since it's greater than, that it's going to be an open circle. And I know because the inequality is pointing to the right that it's going to go this way. Tell me what the next smallest integer is that's greater than 9. What is the next smallest integer greater than 9? If I look here, what would come after 9? 10. So 10 is the smallest integer. Okay. In the next one, you're finding the largest integer. So we are doing the same thing we did. I'm drawing my line down. I'm going to keep the negative 4x where it is, but I'm going to subtract the 47 on both sides. So I get negative 4x is less than 7 subtract 47 is negative 40. Again, I'm dividing by a negative. When I divide by a negative, I have to flip the inequality. So it becomes x is greater than 10. Draw yourself a little diagram. You have a 0, you have 10, you have negative 10. Because that's not equal to, I know I'm going to have an open circle at 10. Anything greater than is pointing to the right. So what would be the next largest integer greater than 10? The next largest integer greater than 10 is 11.